Time to put it in full gear. The Bills are back for the rest of the way, coming off the bye week. I am Kevin Carroll.
This is the Buffalo End Zone podcast.
Yeah, it is, and you're Andy Young.
I am Andy Young. We are proudly presented by Toyota. Kevin is a little off today. We'll excuse him for that. The Bills are back on after the bye week and trying to get things figured out here, coming off a 2-game losing streak.
A lot to figure out, Andy. A lot of questions. It's like a cliffhanger. They left us all wondering what the heck is going on with this team. They go on the bye week. They are back now. There's a lot to get to with this return for the Bills. First day of practice where we've seen them for a while, Andy, and when we last left, so many questions around both the offense and defense. The offense really struggling against the Atlanta Falcons. They were given opportunities to put points on the board. Josh Allen and company settling for just 14 points in that loss.
Yeah, Sean McDermott said the last 10 days or so since they've been on the bye and now come back was a good time to self-scout, to gain clarity about what it is that is ailing them, what they're doing poorly, what they're doing well, which he was quick to point out we are doing some good things. We are 4-2, right? This is not an 0-6 team at this juncture. But sometimes it feels like it, the way things go, especially disheartening after that Atlanta game.
Well, he said, in a nutshell, paraphrasing here, basically all everyone wants to talk about the negative, but yeah, because that's what we were all left with. We were left with 2 games with a negative taste in your mouth when it comes to a team that's favored for the Super Bowl with so many questions up in the air, and one of them still remains wide receivers and pass catchers that can't get open, and that's going to be an issue moving forward here.
Yeah, looking ahead and thinking about where this team is, both sides of the ball, we'll start with offense. Obviously, they have found that teams are going to come after Josh Allen, whether that's through blitz, creating pressure with 4, whatever that might be. They're going to bring some heat because other teams aren't afraid of what the Bills can do to beat them outside the numbers. And that's your wide receivers. That's your X and your Z. That's Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, who is now week to week. We don't know when he'll be back, so that obviously doesn't help if he's part of the solution. That's Elijah Moore. That's Curtis Samuel. That's Tyrell Shavers.
Dalton Kincaid missed the game, and he had been figuring like a huge role for a couple of weeks now, which was expected of him coming into this season, and he was delivering, but you can't deliver when you're on the sideline.
I think I pointed this stat out on the podcast last week, but in the 5 games since the Ravens win, the Bills receivers outside of Khalil Shakir combined, we're only averaging 89 yards per game between those 5 guys. That is just not good enough. And whether that's on scheme, whether that's Joe Brady finding ways to get these guys open, whether that's Allen not recognizing or not going to open guys, or what's probably more plausible is they're just not getting open enough themselves. So it's a 3-pronged attack there about how that's all going to work out. And I think the first thing they've got to do is realize, all right, if teams are going to blitz us and pressure us, offensive line and backs and tight ends, how do we protect that better? How do we scheme places for the Bills to hold up to that pressure so that Allen has a little more time? Then it becomes Joe Brady. How do I give Allen easier answers in those situations? This feels like a conversation maybe we had a few years ago when it was talked about we've got to find Allen some easier answers in situations. I think they need to go back to some of that and figuring out how to get the ball quickly to James Cook, to get the ball to the receivers. And if it's going to have to be in space, how do they get open more quickly to allow that to happen?
Do you think there's concern that Josh Allen is concerned with how this offense is right now and that he might, I don't want, the word regress is wrong, but might be starting to think how he did a few years ago with how this offense is right now? They probably have to rely on me a little bit more to do more.
I mean, they should rely on him to do more. He's the MVP. He's one of the best 2 or 3 players in the NFL. He said today that his grandma called him and said she wants to see him smile more. And that means to Josh having more fun, bringing the energy, bringing the juice, working hard, and that'll trickle down to the rest of his teammates. Because right now, you've seen him on the sidelines after poor drives. He looks frustrated, sometimes sullen or downtrodden.
Ooh, sullen.
Dropping big words for you.
By the way, Josh Allen is basically on 90% of the commercials during sporting events.
And he's
right
usually
now,
smiling.
And he's smiling then.
Well, he knows what kind of check he's getting.
Right. So bring that smile out on the field. But, Andy, bring that smile out on the field, some production. I mean, we know with Joe Brady, when he took over, we got more from James Cook, more of a balanced offense. And when it works, that's when everything flows. But when it's not working, that's where you get these halves like they had against the Falcons in the second half, where they kept getting the ball and barely moving.
Yeah, when they're not able to get Cook going consistently, it's a problem for the offense. It brings up a lot of fans I would agree with this. Brandon Beane should try to make a trade for a receiver, especially now that Joshua Palmer's out for an indefinite period of time.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the trade is, what do you give up? Who's going to be your trading partner? And do you have the cap space to make it happen? You don't want to just make any random trade for any wide receiver and give up a first-round pick when it's not a guy who's worth that.
Mm-hmm.
So Brandon Beane has to take a hard look at that. Can he make it work salary cap-wise? Because they have almost no space. They got a couple $1 million to operate with. That's for guys that go on injured reserve, practice squad guys called up, all these different things. So they'd have to do some serious maneuvering to try to make cap space work, or take on a guy who already had their bonus paid or had a guaranteed salary for the year already taken care of, and the other team has eaten a lot of that money already. I think it was kind of similar to how it worked with Amari Cooper last year.
Mm-hmm.
They had already paid out his bonus. The Bills didn't have to worry about that. Then it was just whatever was left on his guarantee, on his salary for the season. So I'd love to see him trade for Jalen Waddle or Chris Olave or one of these types of players. I just don't know how realistic that is.
Well, we're about to find out. The deadline is
2
coming
weeks.
out
Yeah.
fast. So, there you have it. Kincaid, limited. Curtis Samuel, limited. Joshua Palmer, a knee/ankle injury, has him, as you said, week to week. That doesn't sound good to me right now, but when we go to the other side of the ball, as they say, reinforcements coming with players already on the team now returning to practice.
We'll start with the guys who are more likely to play sooner in my eyes, and that's Larry Ogunjobi, defensive tackle, Michael Hoecht, defensive end. Both have been suspended for the last 6 games due to performance-enhancing drugs, and they're back. They've been in the facility for the last 3 weeks or so. They weren't allowed in the facility right after cuts came down once the regular season started for 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks, they've been able to be in the facility, but they couldn't practice, do any of those certain things, but they could work out, they could go to meetings. So that certainly helps their cause. Now, look, the Bills dealing with injuries with Daquan Jones week to week at defensive tackle.
Right.
TJ Sanders on injured reserve with a knee injury, the rookie. So Ogunjobi coming into the lineup is a big part of what they need right now.
And isn't that that's what everyone was saying going into the season when these guys come back. How are they going to fit on the roster? It's the NFL, Andy. Anyone who follows the NFL knows.
Right.
You're this far into the season. There's banged up players. Ogunjobi has a spot. Michael Hoecht looks like, when we were watching practice for a while, looks like he wants more rep. Like when they were slowly working him in, he was pacing back and forth, waiting for his
This dude's
rep.
ready.
He looks like he's about to run through a wall. So that should be interesting on that defensive line, because they have had issues finishing off the quarterback, and maybe him being in the mix now helps relieve other guys as they do the rotation through.
So defensive tackle-wise, you've got Ed Oliver, you've got Deion Walker. Now you bring in Ogunjobi, and then you're going to see what are you going to do with Zion Logue, Jordan Phillips, There's another guy on the practice squad that they've called up, Mathis. So it's like, all right, we got 3, then we can deal with Logue or somebody getting called up while Jones is hurt, while TJ Sanders is hurt. And then at defensive end, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out because Hoecht clearly is a guy that they had plans for going into this season, that they like his versatility, his high motor, his football intelligence. You got to remember, this is an Ivy League guy. So there's going to be a lot that they want to ask of him. We'll see how quickly he can ramp up. But these 2 guys are eligible to play this week. I would guess they probably both do, but we'll see. McDermott always takes the we'll see approach, never really gives you, yeah, they're going to play this week. They wanted to see how they ramped back up in practice here. But it'll be interesting to see how the roster shakes out at defensive end because now you're talking like 6 guys, right? Landon Jackson, Javon Solomon, A.J. Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, Joey Bosa. How does that all shake out? It'll be interesting to see what they do there with the roster.
Cornerback. And the entire defensive backfield, let's be honest.
It's been a mess.
It's been a mess. I kind of look at this Max Hairston returning to practice after injuring his knee during training camp. It's cool. I think it's got to be a while before. But I don't know. Maybe they just need him out there so bad right away. But you talk about a knee injury, his big thing was his speed, his recovery speed. I think that's going to be something that's not going to be in full effect right off the bat when he does get out there. But there's another guy returning, Andy, and Taylor Rapp with a knee injury that I believe Sean McDermott said is something that lingers from training camp that's still bothering him at safety, and it's not like Rapp has been putting up huge highlights or anything.
Yeah, Rapp has struggled this season, and maybe that's because of the knee injury.
Right.
And maybe Sean McDermott is saying that because he knows the heat that fans and media have been putting on Taylor Rapp, and Cole Bishop for that matter, for the safety play this season. Hairston back, first practice, I believe, since July 29th, which was just the start of the second week of training camp. So he has not practiced in 3 months. That's difficult for anybody to come back from, let alone a guy who's a rookie and at a very difficult position to play. So he has lost a ton of time on task and a ton of reps and games and practices. He said, I've been really locked in mentally, and he said, I'm going to get really smart in the classroom so that when I get on the field, I can put it out there. He looked pretty good, I would say. He was moving around pretty spry out on the field during drills. He still has a brace, I believe. He's wearing sweatpants, but I believe he's still got a brace on his right knee and said, that's something I got to get used to, but I kind of don't even think about it at this juncture. So I don't expect the Bills. I mean, do you think that they're going to put him right out there? They usually don't do that with injured guys. They're going to ramp him up for a week or two at least.
100%. But usually, I believe with the Bills, they usually take up all of the ramp-up time.
Right. So he's got 3 weeks.
Right.
Or else he has to go back on season-ending IR.
Right. So
maybe after the Chiefs game, going to Miami, we'll see. I don't think they want to throw him right in against Mahomes, who looks awesome right now, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. So, also call him Max Hairston because his mom calls him Maxwell when she's mad at him.
Yeah,
that old adage. But did he say he prefers Maxwell?
No. So, and he told this story at the draft as well. He prefers in writing, so when we put his name on a graphic or in a print article, Maxwell. But if you say his name, he prefers Max. Because when he hears it, he thinks of his mom saying, Maxwell, right? Andrew. That's what I would get from my mom.
Yeah. Kevin Michael Carroll is what I would get from mine.
Okay.
Get that middle name in there. There is a game coming up. We'll get into it next. Bills at the Panthers just around the corner. That after a quick break. All right, Bills-Panthers coming up, Andy. And I guess aside from the Bills coming off the bye week and what they're dealing with, one of the bigger storylines in this is Bryce Young with a high ankle sprain. So he's likely not going to be going up against the Bills. We don't know this for sure, but that would mean Andy Dalton would be the Panthers quarterback. And Andy Dalton's been around for a while, Andy, and has been in a few games.
Hasn't he played since like 1984?
I was trying to go back to, I remember him playing in like a playoff game, maybe back in 2010, maybe, or something.
2011 was his first season.
All right, 2011.
That was the Cam Newton draft, and the Bills took Marcel Darius third. That is how long this has been that Andy Dalton has been in the
Darcel Marius.
Marcel Darius.
But, Andy, here we go. We have a team that for the last couple of years, and including going into this season, you would normally chalk this off as a win for the Bills. But now with how the Bills have been playing, and the Panthers have been playing better football, and the Panthers have a couple of things here that are concerns for the Buffalo Bills. And I want to kick off with the running game. We saw the issues they had against Bijan Robinson in Atlanta, and the Carolina Panthers have two really good running backs. So there is no time to catch your breath if the lead running back is out, because the guy behind him is actually doing better than him as far as stats go.
Yeah, Rico Dowdle having a nice season. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. He's got 551 yards rushing. And then Chuba Hubbard, 248 yards. He's only averaging 3.7, and he came in as the incumbent starter there.
Mm-hmm.
But Dowdle is playing really, really well and has supplanted him. And I think he's got, a third more carries. He's got 98 carries this season to Hubbard's 67. So even still, they've got a nice little two-headed attack there coming at the Bills' defense, one that has struggled so much to stop the run. Tackling has been an issue. Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, both banged up. So they're going to have their hands full in this game. This is not your father's Carolina Panthers.
It should be interesting because we've talked throughout the season that the Bills have issues with a mobile quarterback. Andy Dalton is not mobile.
Would you rather face Dalton or Bryce Young?
I honestly sit here today and do not know. Because you don't know what you're going to get out of Andy Dalton. He came in last year and looked good. So he could come into this game and look good with these young wide receivers and this running attack and play action and the Bills' weakness in the secondary. That's why it's so interesting to get those guys we talked about into the pass rush to kind of get into this game and start making Andy Dalton make some mistakes and get turnovers.
I would rather face Dalton because I think you know what he is. You've faced him before if you're Sean McDermott.
He's a fan favorite as well.
Right, yeah. That Baltimore game was something else in 2017. But I think the ceiling is higher with Bryce Young, and he's got some mobility that hurts the Bills often. So if the Bills' defensive linemen can kind of pin their ears back and kind of know where Dalton's going to be, that might be a little easier, bringing him down. And I just think he's going to probably be fine, right? Like, what? He's a backup quarterback who's however old he is now, in his 30s. I would think that almost benefits the Bills a little bit.
Yeah.
But Bryce Young could have a lower floor at the same time. He's capable of a really terrible game.
Yes.
But so is Andy Dalton.
Yeah. On the other side of the ball, Panthers' rushing defense is only slightly better than the Bills' run defense, which is not good at all. So this could be a James Cook game as they come out of the bye week.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because I think the Panthers' defense overall is okay, but there's chances here for the Bills in this game. J.C. Horn, really good corner for them. I think he's an impressive player. So that's going to put even more onus on the receivers to get some work done this week to be able to beat him. But, yeah, I mean, on the other side, I think they have to get Cook going because he predicates so much of what the offense is. And they can't not get him going. Like in Atlanta, they got him going, but in the second half, it was almost too late.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing catch-up. Get him going early with Allen mixing in play action and those sorts of things, and then you got an opportunity. But if you're going to just say, Josh Allen, you just got to drop back, scramble around for your life again, and hope that your receivers win, that's not a recipe for success. Get Cook involved in the passing game, too. Please.
I was just going to say exactly that thing. There was a time last year when the running backs were all involved in the pass. We saw some of that with Ray Davis getting a touchdown in the second half.
Right.
James Cook carrying the workload. Davis comes in. That's what we saw a lot last year.
Ty Johnson was really dangerous in the pass game on third downs and obvious passing situations. So a lot of this, Joe Brady's got to do better. He's got to get these guys involved. That also implies that Allen needs to be better too.
Allen, Brady, I think we can agree that needs to be better, and that's what we'll find out on Sunday. We're going to keep rolling on after a quick break, Andy. We'll take a look at how the AFC standings are right now, and they continue to just be this anomaly no one saw
messy.
coming. Pretty fun, though. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's take a look around the AFC, Andy, and I'm going to keep banging on the Indianapolis Colts until they start losing because I don't believe they're sitting there at 6-1.
They're really good. I was wrong about that.
I
watched
right?
the whole game of theirs the other night.
Oh, man.
They're really good.
So Indianapolis, they can just keep moving on, Andy. And now you have the Patriots at 5-2 right behind them. Like, if you look at the playoff picture as it stands today, the Patriots would be the 2 seed. Look at that.
Yep.
And you still have Denver, Pittsburgh in the mix, Chargers in the mix. Chiefs, though, Andy.
Still not in.
Still not in, but look like the team that's going to be in sooner than later at this point, up in that mix near the top.
There's a reason the Chiefs are all of a sudden back in the top 2 of most power rankings now because of the way they've looked the last few weeks, the way Mahomes has looked. Getting Rashee Rice back, he made an impact right away. Xavier Worthy's been back for a little bit now. He looks good. They're getting Kelsey rolling. They still don't run the football well. I don't think they care to. All this talk about they were slowing down on offense, going a different route. I don't think they were. I just think they struck out on some receivers, and I think they traded away Tyreek Hill.
Right.
And, yeah, they used some of those picks to bolster their defense, which helps, but now their receivers are playing well. They've got Hollywood Brown in the mix and Juju Smith-Schuster making plays. So they look like the Chiefs of old. Some explosiveness back in their offensive attack. They're so dangerous. But because of their start, they're sitting at 4-3, and currently the 8th seed out of a playoff spot if they started today in the conference. Indianapolis, really strong. Jonathan Taylor there. They don't have a whole lot of weaknesses.
Broncos with a big comeback over the Giants. You had the Steelers.
That was
lose.
a crazy game, by the way. 33 points in the fourth quarter. You're down 19-0.
I'm sitting there watching that game going, Jackson Dart is really interception.
I felt
and then
bad for Brian Dable because, man.
That looked like that team was on track, Andy. And then I just want to bring up, because we brought up Joe Flacco going to the Bengals last.
Flacco.
Is he a guy who can keep the Bengals on the verge? And we don't know what's going to go on with Joe Burrow if he comes back towards the tail end of the season. But his style of play with the wide receivers that the Bengals have, if he's on his game like he was a few years back, is going to be an issue.
Yeah, if they can keep him upright with that suspect offensive line, but if he gets the ball out of his hands quickly to Higgins and Chase, which to me is probably the best receiver duo in the league, what are you supposed to do? Like, if he can sit back there and diagnose the defense quickly and get the ball into those guys' hands, they're tough. So I think he might just keep them afloat to where if Burrow gets back, they're going to be in the hunt for a playoff spot down the stretch here, which is remarkable But, I mean, you look at Baltimore, they fall to 1-5. Incredible.
Unbelievable. And how dumb do the Browns look? We'll get into the Browns a little bit later on.
They always look dumb.
I know. I'm trying to be nice. We're going to take a quick break, get a check of your game day weather forecast, and then Andy and I will look at some of the betting lines coming up for Bills-Panthers on Sunday. We'll be right back.
With your game day forecast for Sunday, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Gilson. If you're making the journey down to North Carolina to Charlotte for the game on Sunday, take a look at this forecast. Plenty of sunshine out there. Weather is not going to be a factor for the game. If you're out early tailgating, temperatures starting out in the 50s, so a little bit cool, but not too bad. And then by the afternoon, they're looking at temperatures back into the low to mid 60s. So it's looking like a beautiful Sunday in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Bills to beat the Panthers.
All right, there you go, Andy. That's football weather. For this time of year, you got to be good with that. 60s in the afternoon. Charlotte's looking decent. A nice trip, especially after a rainy, freezing cold first day of practice for the Bills.
Our flight gets in really early to Charlotte. I'm half tempted to go rent some golf clubs and go play around on Saturday.
You can call my buddy Edmonds. He'll come up and play with you.
All right.
Dude, scratch golfer. You can go to the NASCAR museum downtown.
I don't want to play with a really good golfer.
Well, yeah,
I never do because I play with you all the time.
I know. You play with me. All right, let's get into the game. Bills minus 7.5. Andy, in this one, I'm too leery after the last two games. Normally, I jump all over that with how these two teams match up, but seeing is believing, and I haven't seen much lately.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Bills do not cover that spread.
Yeah.
Just the way that they have been playing, they might well win this game, and they might well win it handily, but there's something pesky about those Charlotte Cats down there. Yeah. They're frisky, and I think they can make this a game because the Bills don't have overwhelming offensive weapons. They struggle on defense. Yes, they have by far the best player on the field, but that only goes so far, so this could be a game.
All right, 45.5 is the over-under.
I'm done taking the overs.
You hate to say it, Andy, but with the team right now, I'm done taking the over as well. I see this game playing out to like a 20-14 final with the Bills coming out on top. I will say they get back on track that way, but there's going to be concerns going into the Chiefs game.
I'm going to say 24-17. They just barely miss covering that 7.5, if that is indeed the spread at game time. And I think it's going to be a lot of fans are going to say, whew, all right, we won. Not convincingly. Oh, God, I hope we don't get smoked by the Chiefs.
Yeah, we're on the same page on that one. I try to think of like a memorable moment from like a game between the Bills and the Panthers, and the only one I can think of is our guy Stevie Johnson.
Yeah.
At home in front of the home fans. Stevie, of course, co-hosts or analyst with us during the Bills postgame show, will be with us on Sunday after the game. But that's the only one that really sticks out to me.
Yeah, he had a late touchdown from
E.J. Manuel. And everything was going to be great that season.
Right, yeah.
Didn't really go that way.
I remember that one well.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and take another look around the rest of the NFL because there's some interesting stories out there. All right, welcome back, everyone. Other news around the NFL, Andy. We were talking about the Chiefs earlier and their slow rise and that they're back. Now they take on the Commanders this weekend or on Monday. No Jaden Daniels for the Commanders. The Chiefs get to go up against Marcus Mariota. So the Chiefs in prime position to be on a heater as they face the Bills the week after this weekend.
Yeah, I would expect them to get to 5-3. I think they're banged up defensively too. Washington is. They're really reliant on Von Miller right now.
Oh boy,
in the pass rush side, and he's had a better season this year than he has had the last couple of years for Buffalo. But yeah, I would expect the Chiefs to continue to roll, and then they're going to be 5-3, taking on what we think is going to be a 5-2 Bills team, but the way Carolina's playing, winning 4 out of 5 in their last 3, I don't know. We'll see.
That tough start for the Chiefs to start the season is now you look at the Raiders, like the Raiders didn't stand a chance against them. And now a depleted Commanders team just has them in the right place that game with the Bills could be huge.
And it always is. And for whatever reason, the Bills have their number in the regular season. You wonder if the script might flip this year.
Will we hear the fans cry out that they should lose to the Chiefs during the regular season and maybe flip the script?
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Indeed.
Remember we had a whole segment about this last year?
Yeah, but it's back. It's always back.
The whole call me in January thing.
Right.
You got to win. You want the 1 seed? Don't lose that game. Right?
Absolutely. Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor to start for the Jets this weekend.
I think Taylor's hurt now, too. I just heard that on the radio.
Right. So Coach was non-committal to either earlier in the day, so now you might have Justin Fields back in there.
You just think
Who's
about the
not
Jets,
with the
and you just laugh. They cannot get out of their own way. They just cannot figure it out. They've drafted high-pick quarterbacks. They've brought in Aaron Rodgers. They've gone to the scrap heap with Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor, who I like Tyrod. No slight, no offense.
Right.
But they just can't figure it out no matter what they do. New coaches, new GMs, Adam Gase, Robert Saleh, it doesn't matter who it is. It's a struggle. Aaron Glenn, 0-6. I like Aaron Glenn, but this might be a real rebuilding project.
Are the Jets going to be sellers as we approach the trade deadline and just take one on the chin for this season and kind of move on?
I mean, if they're just dangling Garrett Wilson out there for free, Brandon Beane says, "Come on down."
Exactly. I don't see that ever happening.
No, I don't either. In division, that's why I think like the talk about Jalen Waddle is a pipe dream too, because why would the Dolphins do that in division?
Right.
When you're already buried, you're just going to dig your hole deeper? I don't think so.
The only time I ever remember it happening like that just sticks in my mind is when the Patriots sent Drew Bledsoe to the Bills.
Right.
And the Bills came out and smacked the Patriots in the face. The funny part about that whole thing, I was literally at my parents' house in New Hampshire, and all the talk about Lawyer Malloy was not happy with the Patriots as I'm driving through Massachusetts into Albany. Then back then, guess what? You couldn't use your phone in your car to listen to whatever you wanted to. I had to wait to get close for the GR signal to pick up. So by the time I got into range of GR, Lawyer Malloy was a Buffalo Bill too.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing lead up to that opening game that year.
But I think Bill Belichick was playing chess. He knew what he had with Tom Brady.
Oh, heck yeah.
They were already moved on from Bledsoe. Who cares? Right?
Then I always feel bad for Bledsoe where they tried to cram J.P. Lossman into the lineup because he was a first-round pick. I thought they should have gave Drew a little more time here, but...
Yeah, but after that first, 8 games of the 0-2 season when they really were flying around and Peerless Price and Eric Moulds and Travis Henry...
So fun.
That was really fun, but it really leveled out and dropped out after that. And then Bledsoe was just so immobile.
Right.
He'd drop back sometimes, and he'd have instantly a couple of guys on him, and he'd just crumble. There was no scramble around, step up. If the guy's on him, he's going down.
No, I get it. But if you look back at it, J.P. Lossman wasn't the answer.
No.
All right.
We did have half a good season, too, once.
Yeah. If you say so. I don't remember it. And I'm not going to look it up because we're going to talk about the Browns.
Okay.
Talk about another crummy team. Dylan Gabriel still taking all the first-team reps as the quarterback while Shedeur Sanders remains waiting in the wings. Do you think Shedeur is going to eventually get in there? It seems like this is just such an uphill climb for this guy. I remember him totally from our time out at the NFL Combine. He rubbed me the wrong way at the podium, but now I feel bad. Like, you're the Browns. How long is that list? Don't the Browns have that one guy with that shirt that just says everyone's name on it? Who's played?
All the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Since '99, starting with Tim Couch, working to Dylan Gabriel.
Add two more. Come on.
Well, I think that you want to give Gabriel a shot. Like, you drafted him a couple of rounds higher than Shedeur Sanders for a reason. See how it goes for a few. Like, give the guy a handful of games at least, and then if he's terrible, all right, we're 2 and whatever. All right, let's see what Shedeur Sanders has.
I'm the guy who goes back and forth.
No.
I would just go between the two until one of them got hot.
I would
like a goalie in hockey.
I would do the old double quarterback shotgun wishbone thing. I've seen a couple of years ago. I was covering a high school football game, and they had 2 quarterbacks.
That's crazy to me, but I kind of also like it.
Right, so they would snap it to one who was a better runner, or they'd snap it to the guy that was the better thrower, and then it was like tricky. Oh, the running guy is going to throw it this time.
Classic high school.
And so, right, like both guys were their best athletes on the field, so they just put them both back there. And neither guy was great.
2 good athletes, not a great athlete to play quarterback. We're going to take a quick break, wrap things up with a little 3 and out. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. 3 and out time right here. Sometimes football related, sometimes not. Other sports having big moments, and of course, the World Series. Andy is up, and
Go Blue Jays!
As we went into the postseason, the teams that we root for, not all the time, but when they're winning,
The Guardians and the Red Sox.
and I'm the Red Sox, got eliminated early in the MLB postseason, but there's so much to like about this Blue Jays team for so many reasons, starting with the fact that they played in Buffalo for a couple of seasons during COVID, and you got to know some of these guys who were former Bisons and on the Blue Jays when they played downtown.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see Vlad Guerrero, Ernie Clement, the pride of Brighton, suburban Rochester, really doing well. I think like every guy at one point in the starting lineup in the field had played for the Bisons. So
that's what you do. That says so
That's how
much
you
for
build
the
it.
organization right there.
So really cool to see. There was the whole deal with COVID and the Bisons playing the Blue Jays playing 2 seasons in Buffalo at Salem Field. That's really cool. Remember all that where they put up all the new signage. They made visitors clubhouse out in the outfield.
Yep.
That was up to Major League standards. They really
Upgraded the lighting to Major League Baseball standards.
So that was really cool. And like that was 4 years ago. But a ton of those guys are on this Blue Jays roster. They've also got a kid from the Albany area, Hoffman, from Shaker, I believe. So the closer. So like there's a lot of tie-ins to Western New York and New York State as a whole. And then they're going up against just this juggernaut,
right,
with the Dodgers.
Everyone's had enough of the Dodgers at this point. I
Right.
get it in sports now when everyone gets sick of a certain team.
Right. And Shohei Ohtani, the Blue Jays really went hard trying to get him initially. He ends up with the Dodgers after all this time. So it's just a really fun series. You'd love to see, like, Toronto is Canada's team, right? They've won since the Expos left and became the Nationals.
Right.
So,
I hear there's a documentary out about that right now.
Really?
It's pretty good.
Okay.
I think it's on Netflix, but go on.
Yeah. Expos, funny story, used to be
Jamestown Jammers.
Jamestown Expos when I was a kid.
Randy Johnson started his career there.
Yeah. Giancarlo Stanton played there.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there's been some guys through there too.
Love the Jamestown Jammers Expos back in the day. We'll shift to hockey right now. Avalanche sporting the old Quebec Nordiques uniforms.
Oof.
The Carolina Hurricanes, the Hartford Whalers.
Yeah.
A lot of people have issue with this, that those should be left where the city was, and I don't have a problem with it because I like throwback jerseys so much. I asked my friends in Connecticut, I went to school in Connecticut, what they think about that, and none of them care. They just want to see the old Hartford Whalers uniforms.
You know, I go back and forth on that. It's kind of interesting because I think the Clippers did a Braves throwback at one point, the
Right.
Buffalo Braves in the NBA. But I don't know. It's like, would the Ravens wear Browns jerseys? I know they're different franchises,
Right.
but like that's painful. That's painful for those cities, and especially like Quebec hockey. Like,
Yeah.
it's everything, and they lost their team, so I can see it both ways. I loved the old Nordiques jerseys with that emblem. I think I had one of those throwback T-shirts like in the early 2000s that was like that I really liked.
Corey the Photog has one.
Well, he has every hockey shirt and jersey from every team in the minor leagues to the majors to the national.
Andy, before we go, Halloween's just around the corner.
Spooky season.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I do, because I am one.
Wait a minute. No. How about this, Andy? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up after we're done here. Don't look it up now. Tesla's monitor in their cars,
Mm-hmm.
they've noticed if you drive them through an empty cemetery, where the graves are, it's picking up people. Like it would pick up a person on the sidewalk along the street.
Like apparitions, spirits.
It is what, if you were driving down the street and there were people crossing in front of your car in a Tesla,
Yeah.
it would show people. And it's picking up people in empty cemeteries on these monitors. You got to look at it, Google it.
I don't believe
Google Tesla cemetery ghosts when we're done.
And AI conspiracies.
I'm not into AI. No.
I know, but would you fall for an AI conspiracy?
No, it's Halloween. I'm into ghosts, Andy. These are things that I think are cool.
Did you hold your breath going past cemeteries as a kid?
I never did that, but I did drive down by your area where you were supposed to put your car in park or something, and it would go uphill on its own in the town of Carroll.
Oh,
Guernsey Hollow, yes.
I was like, where is this story going? Yeah. There's supposedly near where I grew up in southern Chautauqua County, right on the border of Cattaraugus County, a haunted cemetery, Guernsey Hollow. And spooky stuff does happen there.
Yeah, when we were doing news down there, every Halloween someone would do a story from Guernsey Hollow.
Yeah.
Scary place, Andy. I don't have anything I'm watching right now. I'm still waiting for the horror flick Good Boy.
Horror, your Boston's coming out, K-Man.
Good Boy about it's a ghost story, but from the point of view of someone's pet dog. I'm looking forward to it. It's got great reviews, but it's not on any app just yet.
I started watching a show, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I can actually have something that I can talk to Kevin about when we do What You Watching on the podcast, and I literally cannot remember what it was.
Well, we're out of time anyways, Andy, but we'll be back following the Bills-Panthers game on our post-game show, as we said, with Stevie Johnson, and then Andy and I hit you up with a podcast not long after that.
That's the Buffalo End Zone podcast presented by Toyota. Thanks for watching.